Greetings. You have found the Instrument Sidekick video for the Clarinet, page 37, Slurs and Ties. That's page 37, Slurs and Ties. So, not too much to learn on this page, but basically the slurs and the ties, the reason why they're on the same page here is because it's the same symbol. It looks exactly the same, and you physically do the same thing for that symbol, but it gets called a slur or a tie based on a very little difference, all right? So, but it is a huge difference to your ear. So, first, let's talk about this one, which is a slur, all right? So whenever you see that symbol, what it means is you tongue the first note, thu, with the tip of the tongue, tip of the reed, like you're always supposed to do, thu, okay? And all the notes that don't have slurs, you should be tonguing, okay, for sure. You shouldn't slur through those, okay? But every note gets tongued until you see this symbol. Then you tongue the first, and then you keep blowing through that symbol, and you have to change your fingers to the new notes fingerings right on time, okay? So if it's a half note to a half note, you have to wait the 2 beats before you change your fingers while you're blowing through. Otherwise, it'll change to the new note way too early. And I've noticed I have a lot of students who make that mistake. They see a slur, so they tongue the first note, and then they quickly change their fingers blowing through to the next one, but they didn't work out the fact that they need to keep blowing for the right amount of beats before they change their fingerings, and that has to happen right when their foot would go to the next rhythm, okay? So you have to blow through those, okay? So if I were, let's say I take the first few notes that we've learned. Let's go C, D, E, F, G, okay? If I don't slur those, I tongue them with the tip of my tongue to the tip of the reed going through, and then I come out with this. But if I slur them, I would tongue the first note, which is going to be the C, and then I just change my fingers at the same speed. Without a slur? With a slur. Okay, but you got to do it with the right timing. You can't just see a slur and be like, okay, well, I'm just going to move my fingers and blow through and avoiding the rhythm. You can't do that. You can't go, no. It's got to fit whatever rhythm it is that you were doing, okay? So, in Aloha Oi, we have a key signature that tells us all the B's are flat in the song. Okay, so if I were to get to low B flat, it'll be this B instead of this B, B flat, and high B flat's going to be the one that's the register key and the A key, all right? So I'll play through that correctly once so you hear and see what that sounds like, all right? And remember that you have to tongue all the notes unless it's in the slur, in which case you still tongue the first note and blow through the slur, okay? So I have to tongue this first C and slur to the D. Okay, now also take note that if a slur needs to start from a note that's at the end of the line and we need to slur to the note that's at the beginning of the next line, it just kind of connects, goes off into the space on the side of the here and comes around on the other side and connects to the beginning of the next line right there. Okay, just kind of comes from nowhere to go there. So that way they can slur from there to there. Okay? Now, in this next song, Bill Grogan's Goat, all right, we have a key signature reminding us that all Fs are sharp. And we see the same symbol, which means to tongue the first note and blow through to the next note. But you'll notice the notes are the same. So if the notes are the same and you blow through them, it's just going to sound like one longer note, okay? So all it's really doing is adding the two rhythms together to make one longer rhythm, okay? But it means to do the same thing. So whenever you see that symbol, tongue the first note of the that the symbol's touching and blow through all the notes underneath it. But if all the notes underneath it happen to be the same note, it just sounds like a longer note. So we give it a different name because it sounds different. We call that a tie. Like we're taking two separate ropes and tying them together to make one bigger rope, right? So it's along the same lines. We're taking this rhythm and we tie them together. So that in Bill Grogan's Goat, that pretty much happens it looks like every time it's going to be a whole note tied to a quarter note. So a whole note is 4 beats and a quarter note is 1 beat. And then 4 plus 1 is 5. Whoa, such difficult math. All right, so way easier than the last page, right? Anyway, same thing's happening over here that happened with the slur over here in Aloha Oi. In Bill Grogan's Goat, the tie goes across to nowhere and comes out this other end, okay? So do realize that that is a thing. So here is what Bill Grogan's Goat will look like. And remember, in this one, Bs aren't flat, so we would use this B, all right? And when we have Fs, they got to be F sharp. So just your first finger, not your thumb, okay? So it sounds like this. I played the wrong note. Let me do that again. D, E, B, D. Here we go. Alrighty, and that is how to do slurs and ties. That's why they're called different things, is because we hear them differently, but it still means the same thing for you as a musician. Tongue the first note and blow through everything underneath that connecting curved line, all right? And I hope you enjoyed those wonderful songs. And then once you've got those down, you want to look on to the next page, because the next page is the purple belt test page. Ooh, okay? But until then, keep practicing this and show your teacher that you know what's up. And, as always, may the force be with you.